In today's video, we're going to be diving into the European model run here, the GFS model run, looking through multiple upcoming snowstorm potentials and also severe weather that is on the way, including the next 3 days where we do have a severe weather event stretching across the southern states. We're going to be going over all of these things. We are looking for new clients for Prestige Weather, so be sure to use the Calendly link that you can find on the top right corner of your screen or in the description or pinned comment down below. Let's get in contact. We do weather consulting for businesses and organizations alike. We've had a lot of good customer satisfaction within there. We have new consultants on board that are looking for new clients. Really exciting stuff in Prestige Weather going on right now. Let's just dive into things and take a look here at the upcoming pattern. And already by this evening, we can see that this first round of severe weather is getting underway. We have a 999 millibar low pressure center located over the panhandle of Texas there. And this is allowing for an area of thunderstorm activity to develop here across the south central. So Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, and Arkansas here in particular, seeing this severe weather risk. As of now, from the time I'm recording this video, it is a slight risk that could go up to an enhanced risk. Wouldn't be surprised for any of the next 3 days to see that upgrade depending on how things go. So we're looking at a mid-tier severe weather event, but regardless, we always talk about this. It doesn't mean that there can't be major implications or major tornadoes. We just expect it to be less widespread. So you don't expect to see a plethora of tornadoes throughout that entire risk area within these slight risk events, but there is the potential for one or two of those to be popping up at some place inside of that risk area or even outside. There is some room for error with these outlooks as well. So we're going to be really diving into these just risks of thunderstorms and severe weather. By the time we take a look at Friday on tomorrow afternoon, March 8th, what we see is that this is kind of an elongated area now of thunderstorms and severe weather. Still a slight risk for day 2 as well. Mostly here, I would say the main area to watch is going to be this corridor here: Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and into Tennessee. I think there's certainly some chance for thunderstorm or even severe weather implications here to the north. So for Illinois, Wisconsin, Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio, can't be ruled out at all. By the time we're taking a look at Saturday afternoon on March 9th, what we see is that there's a primary low 996 up here in Canada, and that's even bringing some snowfall up for those areas. We do have a secondary low down here, 1002. The main area to watch for severe weather is going to be this corridor on day 3. So for Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and even extending into Virginia, where we do have a slight risk to the south. Marginal risk for other areas within there as well. That's definitely going to be another and our third severe weather day in a row. By the time we reach Sunday on the 10th here, what we see is that there is a colder air mass now over the east due to that cold front that has moved through. So we see cooler air. I think it's a 998 or a 988 over the coast of Maine there. And really, we're looking at cold, potential snow. By the time we're taking a look at Sunday, look at how widespread this snow event is now by this point. I mean, nothing too major here unless you're in northern Maine or in Canada, but we are seeing some light to moderate snowfall for New York, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Ohio, Virginia. So winter is not over yet, guys. I want to emphasize that March is looking to be quite wintry. I know that the first 10 days now, we're looking at Sunday here, so the 10 days before that have been quite spring-like. We do actually anticipate another round of winter-like weather to move in for the mid to late portion of this month of March. So we're going to be looking into that here. These models in the long range have shown this occasionally and been wrong about it, but they've just really held true with it this time around. And for some reason, correct me if you guys disagree, but so feel free to comment on this, but I feel like over the past 5 or 6 winters that we've gone through together here, we've seen more mild like winter conditions for, December, January, February. But I feel like once we extend into the springtime, oftentimes March, April, May, we tend to see the cold actually begin to move in at that point. So for some reason, that gives me a little bit of grounds for confidence here in this springtime winter-like weather. It's kind of annoying because in December, January, February, I'm excited about the wintertime weather then. That's when I want the cold and snow. But by the time we reach March, I've thrown in the towel. I'm ready for warmth and thunderstorms. That's what I'm excited for now. We've obviously had some cold, so I'm kind of sick of it by this point. I'm ready for the warmth and thunderstorms. But sure enough, that's not what the weather gods have decided on. They have decided on the fact that winter is now going to move in now that I don't really want it. It's honestly very, very interesting. Obviously, what I want has no implications to what the weather ends up doing, but it just seems to feel that way recently a little bit. It's quite annoying, actually. Monday the 11th here, we do see a northwest system. It's quite minor compared to what they've been seeing, but we do see 1,002 here and 998 to the north. And this is leading towards some lighter rainfall and snowfall. We do actually see the warmth kind of trying to make a comeback here, especially in the central states, but also for portions of the east. I would say this mid-Atlantic and northeast corner is still below average temperatures and receiving snowfall at this point on Monday, but that warmth is on the way. And by Tuesday, we see that it is making grounds as we see this trough kind of building out west. We have kind of a rocky ridge here, I would call it. And what we see is this warmth is just continuing to expand into the east here. As we see the cold air dipping for the west. And meanwhile, we actually have some more major storminess. It's getting actually more intense here, where we're seeing snowfall for the Cascades, Sierra Nevada, and the Rockies. If you guys are looking for a sign of the springtime here, look at out west. I mean, if we were looking 2 or 3 weeks ago, we would have seen a lot more blue here and a lot less green, but we're starting to see even those mountainous northwest areas kind of warm up slowly but surely. And what that's resulting in for the most part is less snow and more green here. And within a month or two, we're going to see almost all green and no blue when storms move through here. So we are moving rapidly towards that. Let's take this towards Wednesday for the day on the 13th. We see that there's now a low over Colorado, 999. So we see snowfall, rainfall along this. And interestingly enough, this could be our next severe weather event. And how I'm kind of determining that is we have a low here. I haven't looked at this model run, by the way, yet, guys. I'm walking through it with you guys, but we have cold to the west of it. And then warmth really extending northward here to the east of it. So what this is telling me is we have a lot of rising warmth here to the east of this low. And then we have a lot of sinking cold below it. And what this is going to allow for is a really, really nice setup for a cold front, warm front dynamic within this low, I believe. Already, we're starting to see some thunderstorm activity, probably isolated thunderstorms rising up through this deeper south area. And that's just the beginning of this warmth and humidity that is moving northward towards this low. And as we head towards the overnight hour, we see that that low is not staying very major. This is on Thursday the 14th, but the low pressure center is somewhere in here. It's just very, very weak at this point. But we do see the development of a potential cold front, warm front dynamic here again as that warm air is surging northward towards that warm front. And the cold is trying to sink down and get behind that cold front. Already, this is resulting in some severe weather potential here for Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas. We're likely to see this actually just get worse and worse and worse. So by Friday, this low is kind of outpacing the frontal boundaries, which isn't really a sign of strong development, but there is some cold front type implications happening back here. Pretty expansive actually as well for Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, maybe even Georgia and Ohio getting involved here. So definitely it's becoming more and more widespread with how just large that area of potential thunderstorm activity and therefore potential severe weather is. So, probably a little less concentrated here. Maybe talking about another marginal or severe or slight severe weather event here, but a large area. So those impacts are going to be more numerous because of the size of that. And just like most of our potential severe weather events and actual, verified severe weather events that have taken place this year so far, it does eventually reach the southeast coast here, as you can see. So Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, and even maybe as far north as the Delmarva there with some of those potential thunderstorms with this frontal boundary. We can see that meanwhile we have warmth rising up out west, the cold air sinking back down here in the central and eastern states. So this is a sign of just the trough really developing here in the east. And sure enough, by the time we reach the end of this model run, that is what we see happen. Really nice developed ridge out west, big trough in the east, and we are seeing some snowfall and snowfall showers happening across the northeast and the upper Midwest here as a result of this. So if we see any storms move along this, we would see another round of potential snowfall with this. This is cold enough to support that. and we're really backed by this very, very strong high pressure kind of just pattern here happening out west. I mean, I see 3 high pressure centers that are extremely strong, and this is allowing for this high pressure, high warmth pattern to prevail out west. And really, this is a classic positive PNA. We talk about this time and time again. That stands for Pacific North American Oscillation. All this means is that there's warmth out west, and what this does is it forces all the cold that would typically be over these western areas of Canada and the northwestern states. It has to go somewhere, so it pours into the east here. So this can be a really good explanation for why we're seeing such a strong trough out east, because of this strong ridge in the west. This is when you get into kind of the dynamics of forecasting, and one of the more simple concepts to explain to people, and I've done this before. It's a really, really good way of looking at things, but looking at it from kind of like an upstream and downstream perspective. We know that the weather is constantly moving from west to east, so that means the west is upstream. I'm going to do an up logo for that, and the east is downstream. What happens out west really, really impacts the east. What happens in the east doesn't really impact the west the same way, because everything is moving from west to east. So whatever's happening in the west is going to move into the east, or at least impact those areas downstream in the east. So I think this is a really good analogy to use to just understand the weather a little bit better. Let's dive here into the GFS model. We see the severe weather event number 1. A little more snowy here with this event for Sunday afternoon. As you can see, I mean, we're seeing states like Michigan, Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York, and into New England seeing some snowfall due to this. So definitely a pretty impactful snow system. We do get that warm up, that potential severe weather event, which, by the way, for this one on Saturday the 16th, it looks a lot worse here on the GFS model. We have a solid 995 millibar low pressure center there over New York and Pennsylvania. A stretching cold front expanding all the way down to the Gulf states here. We would be looking at thunderstorm activity and potential severe weather everywhere underneath this low. So if I draw a line here, certainly everywhere south of there would see some thunderstorm or severe weather implications. These areas to the north of it could see those impacts, but likely just heavier rainfall, more kind of sustained rain. We actually get a little bit of a snow system out of this one on this model as well, as we see a 991 setting up here for New England, bringing some northeast snowfall as that cold air moves in. And then we're kind of left with this colder pattern in the east, ridge in the west. And look at how long that lasts. I mean, we're talking all the way till the 20th here with this strong ridge, again, indicative of that positive PNA. And we're seeing all of this cold be funneled into the east here for probably 5 to 7 days at least. The first sign of a warm-up coming back here I see is at the 23rd here, where we see this kind of warm push from the Gulf of Mexico northward towards the Canadian border, and we're actually seeing a lot of storminess in this area due to it. We do have a high pressure system in between, so you can see that the precipitation is kind of horseshoeing around that area, kind of avoiding that high pressure. However, we do see plenty of storminess to the north of it and to the kind of southwest of it as well. So definitely some implications there as well. The total precipitation, again, really no surprises. I mean, total precipitation is showing a lot for the northwest coast as we see many storms originate from there. Also, this rising kind of Gulf moisture is leading towards a lot here up the East Coast and through the Ohio Valley and into the kind of Great Lakes area there as well. Total snowfall in the European model, we're going to just kind of glance past the West. We do this every time because it's really hard to break this down. I mean, we're seeing a lot of storms move through. That obviously means snowfall for the Cascades, Sierra Nevada, and the Rockies. And this graphic has looked this way since probably November. So we've been seeing the same thing every single day, and you don't really expect to see that change. So no big stories out there, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. We do see some here for the Great Lakes as we see some snow showers move down with those colder air masses here on this European model run. Not only that, we do get a couple of snow systems moving through the northeast. And I will say, let's zoom into the northeast here. We're seeing more here than previous model runs. So the European model is starting to get more on board with some of this more widespread interior northeastern snowfall. I think certainly this could set up for an interesting situation. We've been saying 10 inches plus potential for Adirondacks, Green Mountains, and White Mountains, as well as northern Maine, and these models have really stayed true with that. The GFS model here, still on the higher end of things. I mean, again, out west, no surprises. We see more for the upper Midwest and Great Lakes than the European model, which has been the case for days now. Same story with the Northeast here, where we're seeing probably twice the amount at least in the Northeast. So let's go ahead and zoom in there again. And instead of 10 inches plus, which we're seeing very widespread here throughout areas of kind of the interior western areas of Pennsylvania, New York, West Virginia there, also the Adirondacks and Catskills of New York, the Green Mountains and Berkshires here, the White Mountains up through northern Maine. But not only that, we're seeing 20 inches plus for some of these areas as well in these kind of bluish pockets. So definitely about twice as much here showing up on the GFS model. I think this is on the higher end of things for sure. I think 10 inches is the high end for the next 10 to 15 days for a lot of these areas. I certainly don't think we're going to be seeing 2 feet of snowfall. While anything is possible, that's just my current thoughts. Now, that's it for this video, guys. We're going to be really walking through all of this with you guys over the coming days. So be sure to subscribe as we do upload every single day. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.